Hey Greg, thanks for sending me your swim videos for analysis, and congratulations for completing our Swim Faster in 30-Day program. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear some feedback. So let me talk first a little bit about what I saw in the first video of you swimming. I talked about stroke rate. I thought your stroke rate was slow. I talked about the frequency of breathing to one side and why I dislike it, primarily because it causes a weakness in one arm. Over time it could cause you to hyperventilate because you're constantly and it's just not the best way to breathe regarding body balance and rotation. So I can see that you made those changes to your stroke rate and to your bilateral breathing. I think that looks great. Another thing I talked about was how you were entering and you were kind of going flat and shallow, and a little bit your fingertips were going up, and that's kind of like making a stop. So I can see the difference you've made is on your entry is that you're entering with fingertips below the wrist, below the elbow, a slight internal rotation of your arm, setting you up for a catch and a push. Fingertips below the wrist, below the elbow, setting you up for a strong catch and push. I probably also mentioned a little bit about swimming over that black line if you have access to it, wearing a snorkel, keeping your head down, and watching your hands swim, or watching your hands pull underneath your center body over that black line. I think you've made some great improvements. When I looked at your stroke rate, now you were about 20 to 21 strokes per, I think you swim in a 25-yard pool, which is definitely within range. Even if you swim in a meter pool, that's within range. You just look more fluid. You had a 2-beat kick before where you took 2 kicks per left-right arm. Now I could tell, especially in the beginning of that 100 that you shared with me, that you're kicking a little bit more, a little bit of a 4-beat kick, kind of I could see as you got a little bit tired, that last 25 of your 100, your kick slowed down a little bit, your arm rate slowed down a little bit, but it was definitely still a lot smoother and fluid compared to the first video where you're a little bit choppy in your stroke. You're not quite so choppy. I think the key things that I recognized in the second part, the after video, was you had a nice extension of your arm when you were rotating to breathe. So you weren't stopping, but you were definitely a little bit more extended. You were rotating on your hip to inhale, you caught that breath, and then you turned your head back in and you maximized your pull. Even though it's an out of the water video, I can still see, especially with that left arm, I can still see that high elbow catch and push behind you in the second video more than I could in the first video. The one thing that I would pay attention to is your right arm tends to maybe possibly come out high and fingertips pointed up. You do get them down for entry, just something to be aware of. Keep doing a little bit of the fingertip drags to make sure those fingertips are below the wrist, below the elbow on the recovery part of the stroke. But all in all, the changes you made look great. 30 days is not a lot of time to make such great improvements that you did. So one thing I also wanted to mention is swimming should feel easier now. You may not actually be too much faster. It depends on what your baseline was in the beginning, but hopefully at the same effort you were putting in before, it's now easier, or at that same effort that you put in before, you will now be faster. So making sure you're monitoring that rate of perceived effort along with your pace as you're tracking some progress is a really good idea. If you have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, keep swimming. You're doing great, and make it a great day.